Hey folks, Goji Guy here. Now, it's been a minute since I've uploaded like a lot of runs consistently, but I got to spend some time recently playing G-Darius, and I decided I'd go for a Great Thing run since he's always been one of my favorite boss designs and I really wanted a challenge. So I'm just sharing a quick commentated guide on how to get your first 1cc on the Omicron route. Now, as per usual, this is actually my first ever clear for the run. I didn't take the time to record another one with cleaned up routing and scoring afterwards, so it is a little rough, a little grimy, but it's a no miss. And I think it's important to show that you can make a few mistakes and still absolutely complete the run. So without further ado, let's go. Always love the launch sequence in this game. Alright, so this I figured was probably going to be my most challenging run in the original version v1.0 of G-Darius. And when I first started trying for it, I was struggling, specifically on Absolute Defender. So I discovered a technique to make that boss way easier and way more consistent. And it has to do with a little bit of rank management. Now, it's not... G-Darius has rank, and it does have rank management. It's nowhere near as significant as games like Darius Gaiden. And you'll notice I'm taking the bottom route here on the alpha stage, and that's because of this rank management element. And again, it's not really rank management. What we're doing here is we are going to stay at missile shot level until we defeat Absolute Defender. So if you've been playing any like Darius Old, it's a very similar tactic. So while it does affect rank, and so if you pay close attention, you will notice it'll affect boss health values and stuff. It's way less noticeable than in pretty much any other Darius game. Way less noticeable than it is in Gaiden for sure. Especially because of the alpha beam. You're dealing so much damage to a lot of these bosses anyways that like, oh yeah, he's got, a couple hundred more health points. It doesn't really matter because you're using the alpha beam and destroying them anyways. So yeah, this first stage, there's not really a whole lot to talk about. I'm taking this lower route just because it has less red orbs to avoid. In reality, now that I've figured out the route, I'm going to just take the top route because you miss out on a lot of points going to this bottom route because there's no captain to capture. And yeah, so moving forward, that's what I'm going to be doing instead. But this was just the first run that I managed to actually complete this route. So yeah, it's a little rough. It's just here to show how to make this run work from a survival perspective. So this battle with Eclipse Eye, it's very similar to the top route battle with Eclipse Eye. There's a little bit of variance to it, but you're using a lot of the same techniques and same tactics. What's interesting though is that because I'm not coming in here with any kind of capture, and because I've got such a weak shot, it's actually way easier to get all the breaks on this guy. There we go, we got our capture. And again, just like any other version of this boss fight, you're going to do the clash, and you'll see you'll be able to get both eyes and cheeks and you get those breaks, which is kind of cool.
Meditation.
So heading into Gamma Zone, I have done this zone on other runs, so it's not that different to how you would approach it. I am being a little cautious about how many capture balls I use, and of course I am still trying to avoid red orbs. But otherwise it's a pretty straightforward approach to the stage. Get that capture right out the gate, and you know, because I'm not playing for score, just keep using that capture until you reach the captain, and then use it to help quickly capture the captain. And normally, like, that captain is not that difficult to get, but it is more challenging without a capture to kind of blow up in his face. And I am really interested in possibly coming back to and scoring this route, because it is the most, I guess, like, it's the top route for scoring, I think, across the board in G-Darius. And a lot of that has to do with milking the Great Thing boss fight. I've always enjoyed scoring in G-Darius. It's an interesting process, even just the basic killing enemies or killing waves of enemies with your shot, your capture shot, is interesting to me. So yeah, I'm just blowing that up in its face. Quick capture, very easy. You know, if you're struggling with this, that's the way to do it. Very simple, very quick. And then Queen Fossil, you know, if you fought Fire Fossil before, it's a pretty similar fight in a lot of ways. It's the easier of the two, and I'm going for the top route version, which is just my personal preference, really. Right out the gate, though, you do want to destroy that bit of the tail. And you do have to be kind of careful here. Avoiding the red orbs can get a little tricky in this stage, because some of the red orbs will actually move the opposite direction. Usually they move right to left. Some of them in this stage will actually move left to right. And I'm trying to, generally speaking, just avoid all of them. And then any of the ones that are a little too tricky to avoid, I can take them without worrying about it. By the time I get to Absolute Defender, I want to have the most powerful missile shot. And that is going to be dealing the highest DPS shot in the game. So, which is, you know, that's pretty classic for Darius. It's pretty expected. But I hadn't really considered rank in this game, because it's just not as noticeable as other Darius games, namely Gaiden. I did actually go in and test it out, though, and I think I uploaded my findings on the wiki. I might have forgotten to do that. I should do that. You can see that red orb is moving from left to right, and then there's going to be another red orb coming up soon, moving from right to left. So I'm not capturing any of these because I'm saving up my capture balls, and I'm already at 5. I'm going to be at 6, and I just collect that red orb because this is a little trickier to navigate if you're also dodging that orb. Oh, and I took a little bit of a hit there. And then here it's these are pretty slow moving projectiles, so you can see their trajectory. There isn't a true safe spot, I don't think, because they do shift a little bit. Maybe there is a true safe spot, but either way, it's fun and easy enough to just dodge these. Just be careful that your capture doesn't block your view. That can happen. You can get tagged. And then it's the classic fourfold alpha beam battle here. I'm using the built-in auto fire rate. I do have some alternate auto fire buttons set up based off of the hay cabinet, but I don't really need to use them on this run. Default auto fire will work just fine for you here. I suppose you might be able to speed kill some bosses if you had a higher auto fire rate, but it's not a huge difference. Alright, right out the gate here, you're going to want to capture this first enemy, or kill them. They're actually a little easier to capture if you don't have, like, wave or laser. And, again, because we're playing for survival, whereas normally I'd be like, yeah, you want to get ready to laser and get some points, you're just going to keep them. And there are 4 red power-up orbs in this level. I've only got enough space to capture 2 of them, so I'm just going to wait until there's ones that are a little trickier to avoid. Basically, if I can easily avoid it, I will avoid it. So yeah, instead of actually using this to get points, we're going to use it to, again, make that boss just easier and quicker to capture. Again, or sorry, that captain, not a boss. Mid-boss, I guess, I don't know. Again, it's not a hard captain to capture, but if it's your first time capturing it, or if you're worried about doing it quickly, this is a very consistent way to do it. Again, you just blow up an enemy in this face and blast away until his gold mask falls off. And then you're going to capture him. So this will help you also get some nice points. I mean, scoring in this game is purely for scoring's sake. There are no extends. No score extends, at least. You don't really have to worry about this guy's health too much. I mean, it is possible that he can get killed before you get to the end of the stage, but you don't need to bring him to the end of the stage, so I wouldn't worry a ton about it. Just try to destroy things before they touch him. Generally, try to keep him alive. He can protect you from a lot of stuff. And there we go. I'm now at full power, so I can't collect any more red orbs. And this is really going to help with Absolute Defender. The challenge with Absolute Defender is that he's very randomized. So you have to quickly recognize a pattern and then adapt to it. And sometimes you can get 2 patterns back to back that just, have the potential to throw you off balance and kill a run. So he is totally masterable. You absolutely can do him without any kind of tomfoolery in terms of rank management or weapon management, but this just makes him so consistent, so much easier to manage. And then it will force you to learn some of those patterns as you play. So I think it's a really good way to, as a beginner, kind of start to learn this boss. So I'm not going to enter with any captures whatsoever. And I'm coming in with 6 capture balls. That's because the stage after Kappa has... you need to use a lot of capture balls. So the way the Absolute Defender works is that you actually can't hurt him until you damage the glowing shield on his chin. You need to destroy that, and then you can hurt him, but he will regenerate it. So I can quickly destroy it with this high level of missile. You need to capture one of those bombs he spews out of his mouth and use it to kind of protect you against this onslaught. Again, what pattern he chooses, it's variable, but you will need this little bomb because you need to laser him shortly. So we're going to just deal a bunch of damage. We're dealing great damage on him because he's got lower health and because we're using the missile. And then this is where you want to use that laser. Blast him. I did encounter some weird bugs with this, but it's fine. And then he's going to do that again. And you want to quickly capture... Oh, no. Sometimes he does this. Yeah. Kind of just raw dodge that, which is... That's life sometimes. You want to capture this and then just hit him again. So it means that you're not getting the bonus from doing a beam battle, but it just makes him super consistent. And you don't have to worry about any of that. So that's the way to like quick kill that boss. And I've got 1 shield and 4 capture balls heading into Kappa. And Kappa is a stage that requires a lot of alpha beaming at the start. It's also a stage that has a very easy to miss extend. I'll show you where that is. So right out the gate, we're going to capture. And we're going to immediately do an alpha beam. And I'm trying to tag that blue shield. I get it. I'm trying to destroy as many enemies as I can. Then I need to capture another enemy. I need to get to the very bottom of the screen. And be careful not to destroy my capture as I try to manage these bullets. You can just tap dodge through that. Once I know that I've got the red orb and the extend, then I move up to the top of the screen to get those other enemies. And I'm going to keep this capture for a bit here. And what's going to clue me in to start to alpha beam again is there's going to be another row of those, you know, I don't know what they're actually called. I call them Gundam heads. It's going to be a lineup of Gundam heads that has a red enemy. And that's typically, I want to make sure that I'm lasering that enemy. There we go, there he is. And I start blasting. I was a little delayed on it, but that's okay, because they come back around. That allows me to actually get some more enemies. And then here, it got a little dicey. I got tagged a bunch, playing a little sloppy. And you just have to raw dodge for a bit with no capture. So I'm trying to conserve captures. And this is just in case I make a mistake and I don't want to end up in a situation where I need a capture ball but I don't have one. And I'm going to capture an enemy here, and this is an enemy that is quite important to allow you to capture the captain of this stage. This guy here, Ray Benser Plus, interesting name. Really good capture. It targets things above you, and then it kind of does that 90-degree angle turn. So it allows you to hang out on the bottom of the screen and do some damage above you, which is nice. There are a lot of enemies in this game that try to lock down the screen with fire or just with themselves. You really do need that capture ball from that enemy, so I make sure I get that, and I get to the back of the screen, I tap dodge down. It's a little spaghetti here, it's a little dicey, a lot of stuff happening on screen. And you want to destroy those enemies on the bottom as soon as they appear, as quickly as you can. Then we've got the captain here, you got to get up in his face, bomb, get the blue shield, and capture him, because he is very difficult to capture without a capture bomb. And he can protect you from a lot of enemy fire. He's very strong, and he's got a lot of health, so you don't really have to worry about him dying on you. His special attack is also pretty good. It can lock down like a big portion of the screen. I don't know if I use it here. And of course you can use, and I do this in a couple points of the run, you can use the floating power-ups that you don't collect to as a shield. They block shots, they block enemy shots. So always keep that in mind. Sometimes it's okay to leave something floating. Now, this boss, Eternal Triangle, also kind of like Absolute Defender, can go through a bunch of different patterns, but they aren't random. It has to do, it's deterministic. It has to do with how much damage you've done. So at this, rate of fire, at this power level, I've got it down to enable the pattern that I want, though you can react to all of them. And I'm using Tail Blade here to protect myself. I'm using the Captain to protect myself from some shots. Now it's important that you just use Tail Blade's normal shot. If you use his command move shot, you will deal, I think, too much damage and you'll go into a different phase. This phase here is nice and easy. And we're just going to zap with the Alpha Beam. Avoid those bombs. You'll be covered from those homing missiles, homing lasers, Taito lasers, really. Then you want to capture, and you don't want to shoot the Alpha Beam right away. You want to avoid 2 of those sprays and then start shooting. You're going to get into an Alpha Beam battle. You're going to overpower. Just follow him as he moves up and down, and you'll be fine. And then I think that'll get you a good taste for the boss, and eventually you can master it to a point where you can get a lot more points out of him. But I'm in a good spot heading into Omicron. Omicron is also a bit of a tricky stage. But I've got 2 shield stocks. I'm 3 power-ups away from entering Wave. And this is a pretty good setup going into this final zone. The first thing that you want to do right out the gate is capture the first enemy that spawns. Not only are they like a decent enemy, they can protect you from a lot. And you kind of need that right now. I don't remember. I know that if you're playing for survival, you just want to keep it until you get to the mid-boss and then capture the mid-boss. I don't remember if I Alpha Beam or not. If you want to play for score, you definitely want to take advantage of Alpha Beaming a ton of these enemies. I would say the next round of those Gundam heads. But yeah, here I'm avoiding. You do need to destroy these Gundam heads. They're going to give you important power-ups, and you definitely need to get your shot level up. So yeah, here, bomb. Very easy, very consistent way to get through, to get this capture. But also unnecessary. That's a captain that is actually quite easy and consistent to capture if you just stay right in front of them, right in their face, as their attacks fan out above and below it. And this capture is great for protecting you against a lot of these bullets. I mean, G-Darius loves to just spew bullets at you. You don't really need to use the command move for this guy. It can be useful on some tougher enemies, but it's generally fine to just use the regular shot. It's quite powerful, and it covers a good area. Now here you're going to be tempted to go down to the bottom. You want to stay up, otherwise you'll get just tagged with bullets and enemies and all sorts of stuff. Be careful for the enemies with those semi-homing missiles. That's a fake power-up, the triple one. There's always going to be a fake power-up there. Avoid it. And then here you just want to keep this capture alive, and it is easy to have this capture die because enemies will try to ram into it. These sharks will try to ram into it. You do kind of have to be conscious of keeping him alive. What's his name? Unguardian. Nice. Because if you're playing for survival, you really want to bring this guy into the boss fight, and I'll show you why. Yeah, this is where there's a lot of like locking down the screen with enemies and fire. So I don't get to full power in this run, but that's not a big deal. There we go, great thing. So again, I'm going top route, just because I found it an easier route, and it's the classic great thing. So immediately, bomb, and get one of those little sharks that he's spewing out of his mouth. Dodging here may look complicated, it is targeting you, but keep in mind that you can misdirect it a bit, and you've got the sharks to protect you so that you can kind of move up and down into bullets. Here, you need to go into the top left corner. Don't shoot until he starts firing those mines, and then you'll actually be completely covered. And just stay at the top. I actually messed up that dodge. But even though I messed it up, you'll see I'll be able to recover. You know, you don't need to do this fight perfectly to clear it. Here you want to get right into his mouth. If you were scoring, you'd want to go up for those turrets. And you kind of want to move back and forth in a rhythm that allows you to avoid destroying those spiral missiles that he's shooting out. Because if you destroy those, they'll explode into bullets. There's a chance you can get hit. Misdirect those Taito lasers and start blasting. And if you're feeling cheeky, you can destroy the turret for some extra points. That's the milking. Is those turrets give you so many points that if you look at super plays, that's what this fight is all about. Here, this is a really tricky part. You need to go down, capture one of those sharks. You'll have a very brief moment of invulnerability. You can get up into position, and you can dodge those that same pattern from before again. Get close to the fin here, and you want to just tap dodge. You know, you don't need to like do full-on micro dodging because there is an AoE attack. But get out of the way. I destroyed the turret there, and that means that I got to deal with that attack. Otherwise, it would be just the same as before. Misdirect those lasers. Charge your alpha beam, and as soon as he turns, hit him right on the nose. The timing on this is a little bit strict, and you may need to play around with it a little bit. But if you do it right, you'll be ready to capture one of those rainbow balls right away, and that's important. You're going to go around to the backside, again, misdirect those lasers, or get hit by them like I do, and laser through this as well. And destroy a cheeky turret if you're feeling it. Now here, you want to stay high, you want to get up, be careful. Destroying those spiral bullets is kind of dangerous. They can explode into, or the spiral missiles can explode into missiles at you. Top corner, go down, go up, go down. That's a kind of a tricky sequence where he fires bombs at you and then fires 2 laser. That's a really consistent way to get through it. It's kind of hard to explain it live because it happens so fast. Here you want to find that safe gap. You want to grab one of those sharks and start blasting. I mean, just watch it for the timing there. Be careful not to blast too early. And there you go, you'll get a triple. It will go all the way through, and you'll have defeated Great Thing. So yeah, not too bad. I mean, I'll be honest, it takes some memorization, it takes some trial and error, and you do have to dodge some tricky patterns. But once you figure it out, it's pretty consistent, And this is what I think is the easiest way to handle it. And then once you do that, you can start scoring it. You can start, trying to get more points in stages and then trying to milk the bosses. I mean, that's a long journey, I think, to get there. So, yeah, that's Great Thing. Really cool boss fight. I mean, I really like Great Thing. It's one of my favorite boss designs, I think, in the series. I just think it looks cool. And yeah, I'm glad to have destroyed him in another game. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions or anything about the route, feel free to just shoot a comment. I'm also curious to know, if you've played G-Darius before, what your favorite boss is and what you think the hardest final boss is. And yeah, thanks for watching.